Well, good afternoon and welcome to our Middlesex County Council meeting. And I would like to call it to order for Tuesday, October the 12th. In many ways, it's hard to believe that it is October already. We have been so fortunate to have the weather that we have had. It seems that the weather we wait so long to enjoy in the summer has been extended. My family was fortunate to celebrate Thanksgiving outside in shorts and short sleeves. As we know, October traditionally brings in sweater weather with cool, crisp days and evenings, and I'm sure those are around the corner. October also seems to recognize so many worthy causes. Yesterday was International Day of the Girl, which makes sense since October is Women's History Month. October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And did you know that October is International Walk to School Month? We recognize National Seniors Day, Invisible Disabilities Week, World Sight Day, Persons Day, Canadian Islamic History Month. In fact, there are over 25 causes, histories, or recognitions that are officially commemorated during the month of October. And while these are all worthy of a few minutes of discussion, I want to recognize Saturday. It was World Mental Health Day. And as I have done so many times here at the county during my terms as warden, at my own council meetings and events in Lucan Badolph, at the many health briefings I have attended with the health unit, I want to once again put a light on the importance of looking after our own mental health and looking out for signs that a family member or a friend could be struggling with issues surrounding their mental health. We have been under so much stress and strain living with the pandemic. Cracks in our healthcare system have certainly been shown, and not the least in the areas where mental health is detected and treated. We have heard promises from both higher levels of government that investment needs to be expanded when it comes to mental health resources. And I would encourage you, my colleagues, that when able, continue to press for those investments. Your mental health can mean many things. It can be an addiction or an affliction. It can be something diagnosed and treated that you must treat for your whole life, like arthritis, or it can be a one-off episode that affects you because of circumstances that you are facing in that moment. Mental health includes our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. It affects how we think, feel, and act. It also helps determine how we handle stress, relate to others, and make choices. If you experience mental health problems, your thinking, mood, and behavior could be affected. How do we recognize in ourselves and our loved ones that we need to take extra care with our mental health? Look for signs, and there can be many, such as, but certainly not limited to, eating or sleeping too much or too little, pulling away from people and usual activities, having low or no energy, smoking, drinking, or using drugs more than usual, feeling unusually confused, forgetful, or on the edge, angry, upset, worried, and scared. Some of these signs in isolation can be addressed, but when they persist or when they are compounded, perhaps it's time to search out or suggest supports. A mental health issue, like other health diagnosis, affects family and friends of the one who is suffering. As I have shared in the past, I have a son who struggles every day with depression, anxiety, and addiction. As with any illness, there are good days and not so good days. As a family, we experience them together, and it can affect our mental well-being as well. And so we all take steps to make sure that we are healthy. How? By connecting with each other and our social circle, by being physically active, by getting enough sleep, and by reaching out to community resources if required. Last week, Carey Price, the goaltender for the Montreal Canadiens, acknowledged through his family and team supports that he was in a struggle with a mental health issue. It was not declared publicly what it is, and it really doesn't matter. What is important is to recognize that if a high-profile athlete, and we have seen a few this past year, acknowledge the same health issues, if a man who makes over $13 million a year can step away from his career to address his health, then if you are struggling, if I am struggling, if someone you love is battling a mental health crisis, then we can all take a step to reach out for healthcare supports. A mental health crisis is not a battle to be battled alone. It is always key to remember it's okay to be okay, and it's okay to say, I'm not okay. I'm going to actually break away from that theme in a moment, or right now, sorry, to say in breaking Middlesex County news, and this is a good news story, Boone Jenner was just named captain of the Columbus Blue Jackets. And so we want to congratulate Boone, this lifelong Middlesex County resident, on this achievement. Certainly the Columbus Blue Jackets are my team, so I'm thrilled to be able to cheer for Boone and see his captaincy this coming season. So congratulations, Boone. Is there any provision for disclosure of pecuniary interest? So I have to actually declare a conflict of interest in item 11B1, and that's the proposed plan of condominium in the township of Lucan-Biddulph, as I have a family member who is employed by the engineering firm who is working on the project. And so at that time, past Warden Smith will take over the virtual gavel. Do we have any business arising from the minutes that you've seen in front of you? We do have a set of minutes from September 28th that you've been able to review, and the visioning session from the county, from County Council, and that was from September 14th. And if there's nothing to be amended on those two sets of minutes, I would ask for a mover and a seconder to approve those as presented. Councillor Elliott and Councillor Richards. All opposed? And that's carried. We've also had the closed minutes for the visioning session circulated for September 14th. And if there's nothing to be amended on that, I would ask for a mover and a seconder to approve those closed session minutes from September 14th's visioning session. Councillor Warwick, and a seconder, please. Councillor Ropp. All opposed? And that's carried. Okay. It's under deputations, but it's not really a deputation because I'm already here. I'm here for the whole meeting, but I am pleased for this portion of the meeting. As we all know, we were all able to get together on September 16th for the annual Middlesex County Wardens golf tournament. And it was held in at the Fox Golf Course in my home municipality of Lucan-Biddulph. And it was a beautiful day. And as I said that day, I think I had one more last ask as warden, and the golf gods shone on us, and the weather was incredible. It was a perfect day to be outside. And I really want to take a moment to thank Marcy for all the work that she did behind the scenes to organize it and put it all together. Certainly an event like that, we know, just doesn't happen overnight, and there's a lot of back room work that needs to be done. I also want to give a huge shout out to all of our sponsors. There was incredible support from the list of sponsors that were traditional county sponsors, as well as some new sponsors that came from my home community. I think everybody I asked said yes, and so that's always a good news story. And then, of course, to the players who all came out. We had 104 golfers. I think everybody had a great time, and it was just great to be with everybody. So I really do want to say thank you. For those that missed the announcement, the winning team was made up of Coulter Cahill, Mike Pletch, Brad Craig, and a young unknown man named Noah Jussin, who just happens to be my son. So not saying anything, but he certainly had a good time, and we want to congratulate those 4 golfers on their winning team. So at this time, we're going to present the proceeds from the tournament, and we're doing it a little differently, obviously, because of COVID protocols. And I actually met with the 2 organizations that received the proceeds and earlier last week, and we videotaped them. And at this time, I would ask Chris Bailey to share those videos with everyone. I am here this afternoon at Victim Services in Middlesex, London, and I'm joined by John Elston, who is the chair of the board of directors for Victim Services. And of course, he's no stranger to anybody that is associated with the County of Middlesex. And I'm excited to be here this afternoon and share this presentation with everyone. In September, I was able to thankfully host the annual Middlesex County Wardens Golf Tournament, and it was held on a beautiful Thursday afternoon at the Fox Golf Course in Granton, in my home municipality of Lucan-Biddulph. And thanks to incredible support from our sponsors and from our participants, I'm able to make a donation from the golf tournament to Victim Services for $4,000. So I am excited to present this to Victim Services. They do incredible work in our community. And maybe, John, if you can just take a few minutes, or a moment or so, just to kind of share the kind of work that you do in our community.
For sure. Thank you very much, Warden. First of all, on behalf of Victim Services Middlesex, London, the agency we serve, I can't say thank you enough, because we have different varying programs that we can use this money for, but the end result is it'll be used and enhance the programs we give to the clients we serve. So thank you so much for that. Victim Services has been around for a long time. Of course, back in 2017, we migrated from Middlesex County to Middlesex, London, with London Police Services. And we now have a catchment area of Strathmere Care Duct Police Services, the OPP, and London Police Services, and other emergency services we deal with Middlesex London paramedics, with fire services. And the thing is we're frontline workers that help out victims of tragic circumstances, whether it be of highway of human trafficking, victims of domestic violence, assault, even relating to fires, death of any type that may very well affect that family or that person who they're associated with. So the program we have can affect a lot of people, and it's a huge catchment area, and our numbers are rising, and this money will help contribute to continued support that we have for our frontline staff that we have, and our volunteers and our caseworkers as well, to make sure that the clients are well served. And in conjunction with our ministry, the Attorney General, that also funds us because we're non-for-profit, this will all make everything a little more easier in these times. So thank you very much, Warden.
Well, as I say, I'm really excited to be able to present this, and as I said, couldn't be without the support of our sponsors and the participants. But really, it is a testament to the work that Victim Services does in Middlesex and London. And I have had friends that have had to use services from that are offered, and I cannot speak highly enough about how respectful they've been treated. And you know, if you're in a situation, this is the organization that will be there to support you and stand with you. And I just want to congratulate the team on the work that they do, and hope that this money just helps in some small way.
Oh, it will, in small but large ways. Thank you so much.
Excellent.
Yeah, thank you.
Great. There's one more video. I am at the Lucan Legion Branch 540, and with me this morning is the president of the Lucan Legion, Kelly O'Connor. In September, I was able to host the Middlesex County Wardens Golf Tournament, and it was a fantastic day. We were so thrilled to be able to have the golf tournament. Last year, of course, we weren't able to host it, and so everybody on the course was thrilled to be there. And with the success of the participants and the amount of sponsors that we have, I'm here this morning to make a presentation to the Legion. The Legion does great work in our community, and they're open on Friday nights and now Monday nights. If anybody's in Lucan, come down to the Legion and have a few beverages and enjoy the food that they prepare. It's a great atmosphere. I'm here a number of Fridays with my family. We have a great time, and everybody is welcome. You don't have to be a member of the Legion to come and enjoy what they prepare for us. So Kelly, before I present the check, I just wonder if you could just share some of the things that the Legion does.
Well, there's a number of programs for veterans, and every year we contribute to those. Probably the one we contribute to the most is what is called the Homeless Veterans Program, and it's a very serious ongoing issue in Canada. And so we contribute pretty much every year from our Poppy Fund. And I just found out recently that in the past year, that program has served in Ontario, I believe it was 952 veterans in 182 different communities. So it's all good work. We also support a local Army Cadet unit financially, which operates out of Exeter, and we support a Air Cadet squadron in London, pretty much on a yearly basis. There's a few other programs that we do for veterans and this type of thing, and we like to also do good work in the community. And in the past, we have contributed on a fairly regular basis to the Lucan Boy Scout program, the Cubs and Scouts, to the Girl Guides, the Elsa Creek Food Bank. We have made donations in the past to the Lucan Fire Department, and we just try our best. And we can only do this because of the generosity of people during our Poppy campaign every year, and also through patronage at the Lucan, at the Lucan Legion. If we have members coming in, that's generating income, anything that's in excess after we pay our operating costs, this type of thing, we try to put that back into the community. Okay?
Well, there is no question that you do have quite a presence in the community, and you're often seen at community events, volunteering, or having a booth and providing information to the residents, letting them know what you do. You're a go-to place during Bacon Fest. You host a great event when we are able to have Bacon Fest. And most recently, you were participated in Summerfest. But the building that we're in, everybody knows it. It's on Market Street in Lucan. How old? Do you know how old the building is?
I believe our charter goes back to, I think, 1952 or 1953. So I suspect that's when the building went up. Yeah.
So the building has a lot of character, but it does need some work. And you've shared with me over time some of the projects that need to be undertaken. And I know when we talked about donating the money to the Legion from the golf tournament, my one request was that it did stay locally with the branch. And as much as the work that you do through the programs that support veterans beyond our community, it was important for me for this money to stay here in Lucan and for you to direct it as you see fit. So with that in mind, I am extremely pleased and excited to be able to present the Lucan Legion Branch 540 $20,000 from the golf tournament.
That's incredible. That's incredible.
I know, it is. I'm gonna cry.
I'm gonna cry.
I think it speaks to a number of things. It speaks to the support of the community for the Legion. When I reached out to sponsors and participants, when they heard that the money was going to be directed to the Legion, everybody was very excited, and I don't think anybody said no to my request to sponsor the event. So I'm really thrilled. We'll do, I know, great work here. And I really hope that, you know, it will do what you want it to do.
Very good. I haven't got the words to express how much we appreciate this.
Yeah.
We appreciate it. I must say, like, in all the years since I've been the president of the Legion, which is 6 or 7 years now, Mayor Kathy, Warden Kathy, and the whole municipality, the council, and particularly our economic development officer, Lisa DeBoer, have supported the Legion and partnered with the Legion in so many different ways. And this is just another example of that ongoing support. And I think we're very, very fortunate to have these kind of people working and thinking about our welfare and helping us out. It's appreciated very, very much.
Well, I'm beyond thrilled. I'm beyond thrilled to be able to do this. So congratulations, and there's not much more to say after that. So I'm going to cry again. So it really was. It was a great way to, as Marcy said, I must have felt like Oprah, being able to make those presentations. But it really was obviously a team event, and with everybody's support. So thank you so much for supporting the tournament. It was a great day, and I'm just thrilled with being able to support those two great causes. So thank you, everyone. Okay, on to the real meat of the meeting now. Any inquiries or notices of motion? Councillor Vanderheyden.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor, or Madam Warden. I just, first of all, I'll give you a little breathing space here. I'm going to introduce, but I feel like I'm a moving target today. So I thought I would say this ahead of time. Okay. I wanted to thank the Women's Caucus members. Can you hear me? I wanted to thank the Women's Caucus women who joined me to speak to two women, and I know Kelly mentors one and I mentor one from the University of Western Ontario. You know, they've had some really pressing issues over the last couple of months, and these are young women that are, you know, their first year of university, and we have the opportunity to have a chat with them once a week in order to mentor them and help them along. And I wanted to thank coming to speak to them. They were just excited and they learned so much. I know that Sarah was writing profusely, and I think it's a great opportunity for us. You know, Warden and Kathy, you talked about mental health and how we all can kind of like learn from each other and speak to each other and help each other along the way. And I think that's part of what we are able to do here. So I just wanted to say thank you. I really appreciate the time and the effort that you put into helping other young women and moving them along in their lives, because, you know, it wasn't that long ago, although that Legion building is older than I am, but just barely. So that we can do this is awesome. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Vanderheyden. Any other inquiries? Okay, there's no reports, so on to new business. First item in front of us is the sale of timber, Purdy and Patterson tracts in the county forest. And at this time, I'd ask Mark Brown, our Woodlands Conservation Officer, to speak to the report in front of us.
Thank you, Madam Warden. Good afternoon, Council and staff members. So very briefly, we put out a tender this, well, in the spring of this year. I continued doing some timber marking in the county forests. We have about 90 hectares of conifer plantation that need to be thinned out. The conifer plantations need thinning a little bit more frequently than the hardwood stands. Roughly about every 10 years they need thinning. So we're a little bit behind with the program, but yes, this spring I took the opportunity to get out there and mark 10 hectares, and we recently put it out for tender, and you see the results before you. $63,250 for 730 cubic meters, pretty much all white pine, and as I say, this represents about 10% of our conifer thinning harvest that we need to do in the next 5 years or so. So it's a good start.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Any questions on Mark's report? Okay, then you've got the recommendation in front of you, and I would ask for a mover and a seconder for this. Councillor Mayhew and Councillor Cornelissen. All opposed? And that's carried. All right, thanks, Mark. Our next report in front of us is from Adam Bennett from the MLPS, and it's with regards to our 2022 response time performance plan. So over to you, Adam.
Thank you, Warden. So each year, municipalities are required to establish the response time performance plans for the following year, and that plan has to be submitted by October 31st of each year. Municipalities are also responsible for reporting compliance with the established plans by March 31st of the following year. Middlesex London Paramedic Service has reviewed the targets that have been set for 2020 and 2021. And Middlesex London Paramedic Service hasn't been able to meet the targets for sudden cardiac arrest and CTAS 2, and it's forecasted that we are unlikely to do so for 2021. Now, there are several factors outside of the control of Middlesex London Paramedic Service that affect the service's ability to meet these targets. Some of those are increasing call demand, and that as call demand increases, it leaves less units available to respond to calls, resulting in units being required to travel greater distances, which will in turn increase response times. Offload delays. When units are tied up in the emergency departments, offload delays again will contribute to less units available into the system to be able to respond to calls, thus meaning that vehicles will be required to travel greater distances. The offload delays coupled with the increase in call demand also has that synergistic effect in that now not only are units traveling greater distances, sometimes they're being called out of the emergency department. And during the current COVID pandemic, there's additional time that's required to disinfect and ensure that equipment is put back, but it's also clean and safe for us to be able to go and service other calls. And additionally, the over-prioritization of calls, emergency calls that are being taken in by the Central Ambulance Communication Center puts pressure on this system as well. As multiple calls go out as code 4 calls, they're not necessarily returned as CTAS 1, 2, or sudden cardiac arrests. And those calls will then decrease the total number of units available in the system to actually be able to respond to those higher CTAS levels. So after review, Middlesex London Paramedic Service has proposed the following adjustments to the target response times that we feel will better reflect the current demands and pressures of the systems as they are now. Middlesex London Paramedic Service will continue to monitor these targets, and they can be adjusted at any time by Middlesex County Council. The recommendation is that County Council accept this report and notify the Ministry of Health of the response time performance plan, and we'll change the plan to the targets that we've set for 2022.
Okay, thank you for that, Adam. Questions or comments on this that's being shared with us? Councillor DeVete. Councillor DeVete, I'm just wondering if can everybody hear her on screen? No. So after all that, we kept you going.
It's like a Charlie Chaplin routine.
I know.
I'm sure it was eloquent though.
It was.
I've asked somebody to pop in and see if they can help.
We've
out.
got IT in here right now.
Perfect.
Okay, can you hear me? Okay, thank you. I'm what you call a high needs customer for IT, I think. I'm sorry, I apologize for that. I'll just reiterate that I thank you for the report, Adam. And I'm always looking forward to this report because I'm always amazed at how you work with, I called it quicksand, variables shifting under your feet all the time. Calls called out at the wrong level and waiting at the hospital and all those other variables. So thank you for all the good work you do. I'm trying to understand a little bit better how the changes are made in the target response times and so forth, because you don't want to leave people who really need critical attention waiting. So I think when I look at this, the target response times for the two highest critical call outs don't change. And then the rest of the time is allocated, I think, to lower levels. Is that how it works? Or how do you make sure that, or how do you try and make sure that you've got enough vehicles at the right place, but still allow the right response time to make sure that people can be assisted in the time frame that makes most sense to preserve life and reduce injury?
Yeah, no, so through you, Warden, that's a great question. And that's exactly what's happening, so that there are a lot of factors that are at play. The Ministry of Health sets the response time for the sudden cardiac arrests. So we can look at our percentage, but we don't actually have the ability to change the timing. So that will always remain the 6 minutes. With the higher acuity CTAS levels 1 and 2, as you refer to, what would like to do is be able to allocate as many resources to those higher acuity calls as possible, so that those are the ones that are the most sick. So the CTAS 3, 4, and 5, those are the lower acuity patients. We want to make sure that we preserve enough units within the system, both in the city and the county, that we're able to respond to those in respectable amounts of time. Additionally, we take a look at, as things start to change, as the pandemic will change, as our call demand starts to flux and change, we can make changes to our response times. We can lower the response time, we can increase the percentage of responses that we meet within that as those types of pressures start to be alleviated.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
A game today, I think. Okay, any other questions or comments for Adam on the report that he's presented? Okay, the recommendation is in front of you. If I could get a mover and a seconder for that, please. Councillor Ropp and Councillor Mayhew. All opposed? And that's carried. Okay, Chris Trainee is going to report to us on our Investing in Canada Infrastructure program, and it's with regards to the transfer payment agreement. Chris.
Thank you, Madam Warden, and I'll be fairly brief. This is an agreement from an application that we made under the program that you just mentioned to help pay for a portion of the cycling infrastructure that was constructed along Medway Road between Highbury and the village of Arva. And we're happy to see the agreement come through. It's about $211,000 worth of funding, and just looking for authorization to have the warden and clerk sign off on the agreement. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Well, thank you for that, Chris. Questions on it? Then I would ask for a mover and a seconder for the recommendation in front of you. Councillor Brennan and Councillor Warwick. All opposed? And that's carried. Okay, this one is a joint report from Chris and Cindy on the municipal modernization project update with regards to procurement services. I'm not sure who's going to run with it, but I think maybe Chris is.
Thank you, Madam Warden. Through you to Council, another municipal modernization update for you today. I'm not going to go through the whole background. We all are well aware of the program, but today is pertaining to the procurement services review RFP. This was a review stream as part of intake 2. The county and local municipalities received up to $65,000 through the advancement of the modernization program for this project. And the county and local municipalities have identified opportunities to review their current procurement processes. The goal of this report will be finding opportunities to improve internal operations, streamline services, create more efficient and effective municipal services in a collaborative way. Through this RFP, the modernization funding is to be used to contract a qualified and experienced third-party consultant to work with both the county and each local municipality to complete the service delivery review, identify those best practices, and provide recommendations to each. Intake 2 of the modernization program implementation stream requires completing projects with final reporting no later than January 31st, 2022. And the successful respondent did confirm and verify they could meet this requirement. We received 2 responses to this RFP. The successful respondent was LXM Law LLP, and they provided a total project price of $65,000. This price includes all requirements outlined in the RFP. With the funding received as part of intake 2, there will be no budget impact to the county or local municipalities for this project. The project will require county and local staff input and time to ensure project successes. Recommendation today is that Middlesex County Council accept this report as information relating to the modernization intake 2 review stream procurement services RFP and provide delegated authority to Cindy Howard, GM of Finance and Community Services, to endorse a subsequent contract, ensuring that the project amount of $65,000 is followed, and a completion date no later than January 14th, 2022 to comply with the provincial project deadlines. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Great. Well, thank you, Chris. Question or comment on this? Okay, then Chris has shared what the recommendation is. If I can get a mover and a seconder for this, please. Councillor Cornelissen and Councillor Elliott, all opposed. And that is carried. We've got in front of us now an amended sublease agreement for Culinary Catering. And at this point, I'm going to turn it over to our lawyer, Wayne Mahar. Wayne.
Thank you, Madam Warden. From you to Council, this report concerns an amended Culinary Catering sublease. Middlesex County currently has a sublease for weddings in the Middlesex Room, which commenced on April 9th, 2020 and ends on December 31st, 2022. The sublease requires amendment due to the impacts of COVID-19. Culinary Catering's wedding operation was unable to operate from April 9th, 2020 through July 29th, 2021 due to COVID-19. So as a result, they are in arrears to the county in rent, and Culinary Catering was able to recommence its wedding venue operation as of July 30th, 2021. Administration is of the opinion that rent forgiveness for the period from April 2020 through July 2021 is appropriate. And this sublease was drafted to that effect, and rent under that agreement, rent would commence from August 2021 through to the end of the term in December 31st, 2022. So the financial implications are a loss of rental revenue for 16 months, as set out in the report. And that loss was mitigated by Treasury and administration. It was kind of, everyone's seen this coming. And Culinary Catering is supportive of the amended sublease. And if it's approved, they're certainly most thankful for the county's kindness as a subletter during these difficult times. So subject to your discussion and any questions, the recommendation is for County Council to approve and direct endorsement of the amended sublease.
Well, thank you very much for that, Wayne. Questions or comments on this recommendation? Councillor Vanderheyden.
Thank you through the warden. I don't have an issue with this because I think it's just the right thing to do. But is this something that, because it was in our budget as a revenue, is this something that can be recovered under COVID costs to the county? We've received monies for that as opposed to being short on our budget.
Thanks for that, Councillor Vanderheyden.
I believe Bill would like to answer that question, Madam Warden.
Yeah, we can go on camera if we want to get into more detail, but I think Wayne covered it off well by saying that Treasury and administration prepared well for this potential loss. That's probably the best answer I should give.
Thank you. Are you good with that, Councillor Vanderheyden, or did you want follow-up? I think she's good. Okay, any other questions or comments? Then you've got the recommendation in front of you, and I would ask for a mover and a seconder for this one, please. Councillor Warwick and a seconder. Councillor Smith. All opposed? Okay, okay, all right. Okay, and that's carried. Great, thank you very much. Councillor comments or other business? Okay, then we'll move into our bylaws. Marcy.
So we have number 7132, a bylaw to authorize the signing of an agreement for professional timber harvesting services with Townsend Lumber, Inc. Number 7133, a bylaw to authorize the signing of an Ontario transfer payment agreement for the ICIP. Number 7134, a bylaw to enter into an amended sublease agreement with Culinary Catering. And number 7135, a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the October 12th, 2021 meeting.
Can I have a mover and a seconder for the first and second readings, please? Councillor Richards and Councillor DeVitt. All opposed? And that's carried. And for the third and final reading, a mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Mayhew and Councillor Vanderheyden. All opposed? And that's carried. Moving into the committee as a whole, we do not have any reports of county councilor or county officers or any delegations. Moving into action items. So this is 11B1. I'm going to step down as the chair and hand over the virtual gavel to Councillor Smith.
All right, thank you, Warden Burkert, Jessen. So item number 11B1 is a proposed plan of condominium for the Township of Lucan-Vidal, file number 39T LB CDM 2102 for 2270942 Ontario Limited. And we have a report from Dirk Vanderwerf, our Director of Planning. Dirk.
Thank you through the warden. So this is a 1.6 hectare, almost 4 acre property in Granton, right on the edge. And it's a residential plan of condominium where the individual lots or units would be created, and it's proposed to have 26, and they'd be single detached dwellings. So the report is a brief summary from the perspective of the county, and then the more detailed information is attached as usual. So the submission was initially accepted in June, and the public meeting was held locally in August. And in the end, Lucan-Vidal Council did support the application September 21st. During the local process, there was public input, including from area residents with regards to servicing and compatibility and site details like fencing and such. Agency and ministry circulation was undertaken, and the matters that were raised were either addressed or, in my opinion, can be addressed as conditions of draft plan approval. And there are conditions there with, as requested by, of course, the township, the Conservation Authority, and the county engineer. The policies, in terms of policy context, as you know, urban development is directed to settlement areas like Granton on full municipal services. I would note that the proposed development is a greater density than the historic development that has occurred in Granton. Having said that, I do think that it better reflects the current development forms, and it does still respect the character of the surrounding community in the sense that it is ground-oriented development. So in the end, I am satisfied that the proposed plan is consistent with the provincial policy statement. It conforms with the official plans and is sound land use planning, and therefore I am recommending approval.
Okay, thank you, Dirk. Is there any questions or comments at all? Okay, seeing none, so we have the recommendation in front of us, and that's for approval. If we have a mover and seconder. Okay, Councillor Warwick and Councillor Mayhew. And this is awkward for me, so not in favor. All right, that's the first time I've ever done that. I'm going to hand it back over to Warden Burkert, Jessen. That was carried. There's your virtual gavel.
And I've caught it. Thank you very much, Councillor Smith. Okay, moving on to another proposed plan of condominium. This one is in the municipality of Middlesex Center, file number 39T-MC-CDM 2002, and it's on Longwoods Road. And this, again, Dirk will present to us.
Thank you, through the warden. So as just noted, it's interesting. It is also a plan of condominium. It's the first one that we've had that is an industrial plan of condominium. Although talking to colleagues, it is much more common in the GTA area. And in this case, the developer is proposing to create 15 lots or units, if you will, and then they would then subsequently develop them individually. And they've indicated the light industrial type uses that they're seeking to place there would be things like cabinet makers, electrical, plumbing, etc. So it is something new to Middlesex County, but certainly is being done elsewhere. It is, the lands are within Delaware and they are designated settlement employment in the Middlesex Center official plan. So I won't go through everything that I did in the last one, but just in terms of sort of process, the application was accepted back in September of 2020. The public meeting was in November of 2020, and Middlesex Center Council supported the proposal on September 22nd of 2021. There was some delay in the local process as because of the private sanitary services that are required. There was additional engineering analysis that was completed before the municipality were satisfied with proceeding. During the local process, there was public input and it included concerns related to the adequacy of servicing, compatibility with other land uses, and then site details such as drainage and fencing. An agency and ministry circulation was undertaken, and all the matters, as I said, were either addressed already through the additional engineering, or there are some recommended conditions to satisfy the Conservation Authority, enhancements to Longwood roads to satisfy the county engineer, and then the usual development characteristics that the municipality is requiring. So then the planning policies, as often you hear me say, that it does direct development to urban settlement areas. And I think in this case, it also speaks to the economic development policies in that it provides a mix of employment uses and an opportunity for a diversified economic base on some of these sort of smaller light industrial uses. So in the end, I am satisfied that the proposed plan is consistent with the provincial policy statement and it conforms with both official plans and represents sound land use planning. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Dirk. Questions or comments on this file? Okay, then you've got the recommendation in front of you, and I would ask for a mover and a seconder for this, please. Councillor Richards and Councillor Elliott. All opposed? And that's carried. I'm going to ask Cindy to speak on the 2020 investment report.
Thanks, and through the warden. In front of council today is a 2020 investment report. The investment portfolio is administered by county staff and is vested with Scotia McLeod. The county uses a laddering strategy to maintain a relatively consistent amount of maturities each year. It also allows us to maintain a competitive rate of return, reduce risks, ensure cash is available to coincide with future expected use of reserves and reserve funds. Total investments are $22.8 million and a cash balance of $31.6 million. These balances reconcile to the audited financial statements that were approved by council. I will note the higher cash balance was held in 2020 as a contingency for impacts due to the pandemic, record low investment returns. Also, the cash balance also included the cash from the sale of county properties. At this time, I'm asking council to approve the report and happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. Any comments or questions on this report that's just been presented? Okay, seeing none, then the motion in front of you to approve the report as presented, I would ask for a mover and a seconder, please. Councillor DeVitt and Councillor Councillor Mayhew. All opposed? And that's carried. Okay, sticking with Cindy, the 2021 Psap budget.
Thanks, and through the warden, here's another financial report. Attached is the net 2021 Public Sector Accounting Board or Psap full accrual budget. We're required to present a Psap budget on an annual basis to council. There are a number of steps which are listed in the report that finance does to take a tax rate budget or cash budget to a full accrual budget. For example, we have to add in the amortization expense. At this time, I'm recommending that the net 2021 Psap or full accrual budget required for the 2021 financial statement purposes in the amount of 40,582,222 be approved. Thanks, and always happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you, Cindy. Questions on this report? Okay, then I would ask for a mover and a seconder on the motion that's on in front of you, please. Councillor Warwick, and a seconder. Councillor Brennan. All opposed? And that's carried. On to correspondence and information items. General administration payables September 6th to October 1st, 2021, totaling $1,678,159.66. Planning payables September 6th to October 1st, 2021, totaling $39,745.86. Social service payables September 6th, October 1st, September 6th to October 1st, 2021, totaling $381,622.73. Strathmere Lodge payables September 6th to October 1st, 2021, totaling $295,565.82. Roads payables September 6th to October 1st, 2021, totaling $2,193,071.77. MLPS payables September 6th to October 1st, 2021, totaling $931,442.86. Economic development payables September 6th to October 1st, 2021, totaling $21,350.43. Information technology payables September 6th to October 1st, 2021, totaling $185,135.93. Electronic payments for September 2021, totaling $1,890,917.46. I get a mover and a seconder to receive those items for information, please. Councillor Rott and Councillor Warwick. All opposed? And that's carried. Southwest Middlesex resolution supporting the committee to establish a Middlesex County Archives dated September 15th, 2021. Councillor Mayhew.
Thank you, Madam Warden, very much. I'd like to speak to the correspondence number 11C10 in respect to Southwest Middlesex giving the endorsement concerning the establishment of a Middlesex County Archive. Southwest Middlesex supports in principle the need and the responsibility to support the vision of a Middlesex County Archive. And the two words I've used here are need and responsibility. The need for such a facility has been well conveyed to all councillors through a very significant amount of information that I believe each one of us have received. And I think in the past, when we look back, some individuals incorrectly assumed that when we sold this building, Middlesex County did not appreciate the significance of history. I knew that such statements were very incorrect. And by supporting in principle an archive, this may mitigate such incorrect assumptions. I respectfully advise council that I am in support of staff beginning a process of investigation and bring back a report to council with options for consideration. I fully realize this has to be done in a very fiduciary manner. Some of the suggestions I know have very high dollar tags attached to them, and I think that thought and further investigation are required. I believe that we may be in the minority of counties that do not have an archive. We, as I say, have to proceed in a fiduciary manner, but should some of the council share the same opinion as I'd be pleased to move the staff be directed to bring options back to council, and I would gladly move that after discussion if anyone would like to speak on the same subject. Thank you, Madam Warden.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Mayhew. Did you want to hold off on making that motion, or do you want to make the
I'll
motion?
make that motion now and look forward to discussion if I can get a seconder on that.
Okay. So
and this is a staff report that I'm asking for.
Okay, so to keep the discussion going, can I get a seconder on Councillor Mayhew's motion on the floor? Councillor David. Okay, discussion on Councillor Mayhew's comments and on the motion that he's put on the floor. Any comments? Councillor Warwick. We can't hear you either.
Can you hear me now? Somehow my button came off. Thank you, Madam Warden, for allowing me to speak. And I think that we all know the concerns that the report, actually the correspondence brought forward about the archives. And I think, it's not a yes or no answer, of course. It's an information. It was a presentation that was brought. We still don't have information, and I think it's going to take a long time to get that information. I mean, there's a lot of ways to go around doing these kind of things. It could be private partnership, can be something, that other people may want to get involved with, but I think we do need to have the discussion to get a chance to get all the information.
Thank you. Any other comments or further comments? Councillor David.
You hear me?
Yep.
Okay. I'll just weigh in that I actually support the same kinds of threads as the other councillors have presented right now. And it's under new business that I was going to make some comments, but at this point, if staff want to give us an idea of what next steps might be and let us know how that process might unfold, then I think we'd look forward to hearing that and having a fulsome discussion and making some tentative plans about how we proceed and get what we need to get to understand what's all involved. So I fully support these comments that the councillors have made.
Thank you, Councillor David. I guess I'll ask for more comments, and then maybe I will turn to Bill and get a sense of maybe what the next steps might be from this should this motion pass. But any other comments from council at this time? Okay, to Councillor David's point, Bill, would you have an idea what next steps might be?
Sure, yeah, I think probably for the next meeting, what I'll do, so first of all, I think Ina's helped us think through, Warden, what it is type of information that she'd be looking for and some of the members of council be looking for, so we appreciate that. Second of all, as I think most council know, this will be the third time looking at this question, so we'll take a little walk down memory lane about other times it was reviewed, what the key questions were. I think the key questions are really important. I think we've heard two people speak to, I think it was really good to hear Allison's comments about there's information needed before other information is gathered. So we'll get all that together, hopefully for the next meeting, and just talk about what some of those key questions are that we need council to give some direction on before we get even deeper into reporting. So I'm hoping we can do that. Warden, you and I both had talked about it after the last meeting, trying to get something for the next meeting, and that's still our target. I don't see any reason why that won't happen.
Okay, thank you for that. One last call for comments. Okay, seeing none, there is a motion on the floor to direct staff to prepare a report with regards to the archive discussion or wording to that effect. And if there's no further comment, then all opposed to that motion. And that's carried. Okay. Moving on through correspondence, Middlesex London Board of Health meeting update for September 21. A letter from Minister Clark, re-expiry of temporary regulations 130-20 and 131-20. Final approval of Foxborough Plan of Subdivision Phase 3, File 39T-TC 1301, Thames Center. And this is a report from Dirk. Strathmere Lodge Census Report from September 2021. And of course, this is a report from Brent. Housing Stability for All plan, and this is a mid-year update, and of course this is the report from the city. Councillor Elliott. We can't hear you. Nope.
How about now?
Now we can.
Okay, perfect. So I just have a question in regards to this. And in the report, there was a Middlesex County update, but it was simply that they were working with Middlesex County in partnership to inform priorities and report on outcomes on Middlesex County initiatives. And the team will report on these initiatives in the year-end update. We haven't had any update or feedback from when the housing department came and presented to Middlesex County last time, and we did leave with some questions. And I'm just wondering, possibly add that update if we can have them back to council to provide the information on what's happening in Middlesex County.
Through the warden to Councillor Elliott, definitely we can do that. I believe it was last year at this time they actually came to council and did a presentation. But I know we have an upcoming meeting with them, so we definitely can put that on the agenda item and ask them to come to council and give another update.
Yeah, that upcoming meeting, Warden, is on the 18th of October. So your question, Councillor Elliott's really timely. That's exactly what we'll do.
Okay. Any other comments on this one? Then last one is social assistance transformation for social services, and this is a report from Cindy. I do hope everybody took the time to read this one. Certainly there are changes on the horizon. I'm going to put you on the spot, Cindy, and I didn't know if you just wanted to highlight in the Reader's Digest some of the things you see coming down the chute for anybody that's watching.
Sure, thanks, Warden. And I actually have Joe Windsor on the line too, in case we have some questions and I need Joe to answer as well. So first of all, the focus of this report is to provide council with a comprehensive overview of the Provincial Social Assistance Transformation Vision that was announced in February of 2021. The province is proposing a significant change to the municipal social assistance delivery model. This new provincial vision will occur over the next couple of years and includes the province assuming primary responsibility for the financial assistance administration function. So that's currently what we do at the county. And municipal governments will then focus on life stabilization supports for Ontario Works and Ontario Disability Support Program, or ODSP clients. Also included in the transformation is the employment services, and they are looking at delivering that by a third-party service system manager through the Employment Ontario network. Pilots are currently in place in some communities. We expect that transformation to start in the county. So that's the London region, which is London, Middlesex, Elgin, and Oxford in 2022. And as part of the transformation process, the province is looking for insight and feedback from several sources, including social assistants, staff, and clients. Over the summer, administration has been working on completing this process. And I can tell you that in October, I believe it's October 20th, we have a community consultation, and we have to get back to the ministry on the community piece by the end of the month. Staff will be coming back with reports on the electronic document management and reloadable payment cards later this year. Staff will also continue to update council as additional information becomes available, including changes to the funding model. And I can also point out that AMO has also been doing updates, and they also have a briefing note that I will share. Thanks, and myself or Joe would be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you for that, Cindy. Councillor DeVitt, I see your hand up.
Hello. Thank you. When I was reading this, through you to Cindy, thank you so much for the report, Cindy. There was a lot, as you say, to read through in here and try and absorb. I'm always in principle a fan of making sure we look at process and systems and make sure that we're delivering services in the best way as possible. So the idea that maybe some of the paperwork and check administration is automated at the provincial level sounds like a good plan. But what I'm wondering about is, and maybe it's too early in the game to say this, but have you got an idea of how this is going to impact our staff here at the county in terms of the skill sets that people will need to have to perhaps do less administrative kinds of tasks and move to more sort of counseling or casework kinds of jobs? If I'm understanding what the trend here is, it's more face-to-face work as opposed to document management, if I'm understanding some of the implications of this correctly. Or can you speak to that at all, or give us any insight at this point, or is it be patient and wait till we know more?
Through the warden to Councillor DeVitt, absolutely, you are correct. We are still waiting for more information, really on what the life stabilization will really mean. However, I can tell you that our caseworkers are well prepared for this type of work. We currently do that now. So on top of doing the financial piece, the employment piece, we really do reach out on the life stabilization. We connect them with community members. So I think the Middlesex is really poised well to take on this role. But definitely we need to hear a little bit more from the ministry so I can give you a clearer picture on what the true impact will be to our community. But I will point out that we will continue to always advocate for services directly in the county to support residents where they live. It's very important.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's a great answer. Thank you very much. I was thinking that their jobs may have been more, I guess, linear in each path as opposed to integrated. So that's good news for our staff then. Thank you.
Any other comments or clarifications from Cindy? This will be definitely one that there will be more information to come, and certainly the proposed changes could mean massive, proposed transformation could mean massive changes for the delivery. So we will look forward to more information coming from Cindy and to her team. With that, if I could get a mover and a seconder to receive those items of correspondence for information, please. Councillor Elliott and Councillor Warwick. All opposed? And that's carried. Any inquiries? With that, we'll move on to new business, and the list of our next round of council meetings is in front of you. And of course, then we've got the Wardens banquet on November 27th. And with that, I would ask for a motion.
Warden.
Oh, yes.
Sorry, I don't have an inquiry or whatever the topic is that we're on. I just wanted to clarify one thing before we leave the meeting. I heard Cindy say in her investment report about the sale of lands being included in there. I just wanted to clarify and give you a bit of an update on something I haven't talked about in a little while, and that's the sale of lands at Strathmere. And the reason I wanted to mention that is because that actually hasn't closed yet. And Chris can give us more details if you like. Chris has been handling it for us, but it hasn't closed yet. There are a few little technical issues that are holding up the closing of that. So we don't have the money in the bank for that yet. And so I wouldn't want you to think that was included in Cindy's comments. I just want you to know there's more to come. I forget what the sale price is naturally now that I've raised it, but Chris, you'll remember. And we're probably only less than a couple of weeks away from getting that close, but I just didn't want any misunderstanding there, Ward. Chris, do you remember what that price was? You forget too. That's good. We're both getting.
Yeah, we're both blanking on it.
Okay, it's a good number though. So anyways, we'll give you an update probably at the next meeting. I just didn't want any confusion, Ward. Thank you for that.
No, I appreciate that clarification. So with that, if there's nothing else, then a motion to adjourn at 11 minutes after 2. A mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Smith or Councillor Warwick, sorry. You're the only one without your hand up, so I don't know why. Councillor Warwick and Councillor Mayhew. All opposed? And that's carried. Thank you very much. It was great seeing